Welcome to the Progtalks by the Progspace. Welcome to the Progtalks, an interview series by the Progspace where we will be talking to musicians in all corners of the progressive music scene.
Welcome back to another episode of the Progtalks. I'm your host Dario, and calling not far from here today is the singer of a German band Acoustic, Julian. Good morning, Julian. How are you doing?
Good morning. Very good. Very good.
You guys just recently released your second album, Hephioz, at the beginning of September. So it's been out for a couple of weeks. How has the initial reaction been, and how was the release of the album for you guys?
First of all, it's our third album. Actually, the very first album we self-released. It was 10 years ago. So we don't have to talk about that, but
it's not album. It's not on the streaming services, and you guys don't.
No. It's actually only on CD. Yeah. You can.
You guys don't have a Bandcamp page. You have your own website. We're going to talk about it later. But yeah, okay. So your third album, even. Continue, please.
Sometimes you can get that confused because you don't find it anywhere. It's exclusively on CD. So the second album, Silence of the Sirens, we had our label Magic My Music, where we now also released the third album, Hephioz. 2 weeks ago, like Friday today, 2 weeks ago. It was a little bit sad because all the release shows were cancelled due to COVID. But so we can't do anything about it.
But it's out now, and
it's out now. The initial reaction was pretty overwhelming in the press for us. Like this little nice scene of progressive rock welcomed us really nice with the second album from Magic My Music. Like we had one release concert in Viersen. It was a really nice concert, a really nice atmosphere. A lot of new people who didn't see us before, so that was really nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. You released a couple of singles leading up to that album. Actually, also some live in the studio stuff, and I believe a lyrics video for Metamorphosis. A couple of those songs have been out for some time. But you just mentioned also the previous album, Silence of the Sirens, and that was released in 2015, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, and now that you told us that the first album was out in 2010, you guys take your time making music, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. We want to give the album which we release the time to get recognized, get listened to, and not be under pressure to write anything unless the old music or like the up to date music has reached an audience. So like we could obviously do it faster because you don't really need that much time, like 5 years. But the question would be like, why? If you're not in the position where you have an audience of a few million people, and you have the pressure to release also commercially a lot more music, then it's a different thing. But so now we take our time and
listening to Silence of the Sirens and then Hephioz, for me, I think from what I hear, I think you guys have matured immensely songwriting wise, and also the production has made a huge step up. For those who don't know Acoustic, of course, you guys are fairly unique in the prog scene, as in having only an acoustic guitarist. Only. You have to say, because what I wanted to say is in Silence of the Sirens, the sound was still very much acoustic-y from this from this guitar, and so it felt in places it felt a little gimmicky. I had the feeling, and that is like there's no single second in Hephioz where I have the feeling this is a gimmick, or where it annoys me or something, because it's just like a round hole thing that works perfectly for me. Starting with the songwriting, as I said, I think the songs on Hephioz, and with Hephioz being a concept album with all these themes going back and forth, like there's like the second track is the true overture with all these musical themes.
Third one.
Synopsis, right? You're right. The third one. With all of those themes that are going to appear later, and it's just so much fun to listen to if you also coming a bit from a classical background where this this type of composing where you will have the overture and then and all of this. So how is the songwriting process working in Acoustic?
Let me say just one quick thing to the approach with the acoustic guitar on the recordings.
Please. It's very interesting
because we started out in at the end of 2010. So we always say 2011 because it was like November in 2010 or something, and in there we had the approach to be like rock music, but with an acoustic guitar, and maybe also in the direction of mainstream. Mm-hmm. But it like when we started to write songs, it was quite clear relatively fast that we all had such a, let's say, progressive or metal background that we wouldn't want to be that, but the sound kind of was a little bit more in the direction of little cautious and soft, let's say soft with the first album. So the whole heaviness and also the braveness to try and let the acoustic guitar lead the whole electric guitar distorted sound area of progressive did take a while. We also think with Hephioz it came to the like there's the I don't know the word in English, it all came together, the sound from a live setup, which was a lot longer, the heavy and rock and distorted sound. We didn't really want to do this in that way on the Silence of the Sirens album. So this is the reason it's maybe a little bit more cautious, a little bit more gimmicky, if you want to say this.
Yeah, but also I think it's it probably has been a learning process for you guys, as you are kind of treading unknown territory here, and also probably
in a way
tried different things with the sound and tried what works, what doesn't work maybe. When it comes to recording and all that stuff.
Live, like I said, live we had this heavy and rock sound, and we used 2 amps, like one for the acoustic sounds and one for the, let's say, rock and heavy sounds, but always together. Mm-hmm. We had this approach since, I don't know, 6, maybe even 7 years, so a long time. But like what I said, for the recording, we were a little bit more cautious for the second last album, so Silence of the Sirens. And Hephioz, we thought, okay, now
it all came together.
It came together. We found our sound on the recording wise. We tried a lot. So sorry, I completely forgot the question.
Yeah, now we derived into the sound department, which was also very, very interesting and something I wanted to ask anyway. That for the songwriting, I mean, I know that Johannes, the guitarist, is the main songwriter. Is he like fleshing out all the music until the last detail before he presents it to you as the vocalist and the drummer, or do you guys have insights in earlier steps of the songwriting from him?
We have insights in the very first steps of the songwriting, but still we're not that involved in the further creating of the music, for example. But we have a lot of talk about is this good, or how do you like it, just for motivating even, because it's like such a big piece of work to fulfill. Like if you want to write a concept album, for example, there's this mountain of work ahead of you. So we were involved quite early, but he had the whole thing in his mind, and so it was just finding the right direction for him. And we talked a lot for that, but there's a lot of detail already involved, not for the drums maybe so much as for me as a vocalist. So all the vocal lines, the melodies, everything was kind of set. But like it totally makes sense, because as you already mentioned, the overture, there you really notice the richness of the melodies and music, which is all over like distributed in the album. So I can't really come along and say, oh, I like another melody way better, but it never appears somewhere else, you know. So it all makes sense, so to say, for him to write also the melodies, because it's all interconnected with the music. So it's pretty much detailed for the vocals and pretty much detailed for all the not the rhythmic section. And he has some ideas about rhythmical things with the drums, but he and Florian talk very much about the rhythmic stuff. So they developed that together.
Yeah, I was very, very surprised to notice here and there how the drums sometimes also play quite also have a virtuoso part, so to speak. So it's not like in the background just making the rhythm, but they're really at the same level as the guitars, I would say. You are doing the lyrics though, but as far as I know, the concept for Hephioz is also from Johannes. How did it go? First of all, I think it would be very interesting to know for Johannes, when he started with Hephioz, did he have the concept in mind first, or did he start with the music? Do you know?
I know. Because we talked a lot about maybe writing a concept album. The idea came actually while recording I think while recording the Silence of the Sirens album. already there, the idea was for the next album, maybe write a concept, because there was one story we had in mind. But so yeah, we talked a lot about a few ideas, and then Johannes had one favorite, I think, in his head, and he developed it further, and then we talked about it, and then he developed it even further. Then he told me the storyline, so to say, and I began to write not an essay, but like a story, maybe 3 pages, I don't know, to get a feeling of how does the world look, how do the people behave there, how do they speak to another, and sort of things. This sort of things, and then he wrote the music. And after he wrote the music, where everywhere was clear. So in this part has to happen that, and in this part has to happen that. So lyric wise or story wise, it was perfectly clear which had to happen. What had? Oh, yeah. My English is.
No worries.
It's really early in the morning. Yeah. So, and after the music was written, I sort of only had to put the lyrics on that, because the story was clear. So yeah, it was really a really interesting approach, because you have to say this, you have to say that the mother doesn't want her child to be sad. So how do you say it? Okay, and you have the melody and you have the rhythm, and that is really a really interesting approach, actually. And yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, you just mentioned the mother. That brings us to the characters that you bring to life with your voice, and so there's multiple characters. There's the father. There's, of course, the son, and the sister, and also this mythical creature called Hephioz, and there's a narrator and everything. So how did you approach the different characters? Did you when you were recording the vocals, did you kind of go at it with the mindset of an actor, so to speak, and think, oh, now I'm this character and now I'm this character? Or did you more try to emulate it with, I don't know, different registers and stuff?
No, actually, I just had the emotion, I had the approach of emotionally get into the character, not with my voice, because I don't want to, I am not a voice character, so and I didn't want to Mickey Mouse the the sister or something. So maybe I softened my voice when I was singing the sister, but not really. Maybe unintentionally. But the big thing was to get into the emotion of what the character in that moment felt. So this was really important. But no, not the register or something. Yeah.
If you are enjoying this interview, please head over to theprogspace.com for more reviews, articles, pictures and interviews all about progressive music. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. theprogspace.com.
You mentioned when you were started working on the story that you thought about the world you guys are creating and how the world looks and how the characters talk or whatever. And I think with a few singles and also the album, you have like really, really imaginative and beautiful cover artworks that illustrate this world. Hephioz. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the process of about the artist and the cover artwork.
Yeah, we when we talked about the artwork and like how could it look, and we all were pretty clear that it had to be drawn. Hand drawn. that had to be done by hand. Mm-hmm. And we searched for a few artists which like we knew that they draw, and we found Sebastian Jerke. He's pretty well known in the metal scene, and we immediately had a connection with him. He really liked the album, and had a few ideas, which was perfect. So we just I think honestly we just said, okay, go and do whatever you want. And it was quite the perfect match from the beginning. And this is, I think you see this also because it's just, he had the perfect mindset for what we wanted, and the perfect idea. It really fits to the story, I think. And it's funny to talk about if you don't know how it looks. So go have a look.
We will have it also. When you're listening and watching on YouTube, you will also see it on the screen.
Oh, very good. Very good. Nice.
Not the entire time, but
yeah. That was quite nice with the singles, because so we have the limited edition vinyl, which is the only product we have at the moment. And there you have the cover artwork, obviously, and the backside, and the little surprise in the gatefold middle, so to speak. But what we don't have is the single artwork, which is really nice that we had the 1 year of releasing singles. We had a single artwork for every release, which you can see on Spotify or Facebook or wherever. Yeah.
Scroll through the Facebook page.
Yeah, or Acoustic. Right. And this is really nice because the artworks tell the story always a little bit, and because the artwork is so nice and awesome, it is it's quite nice to have these both, the single release line of the artwork, and then the final product with the, let's say, the most important artwork. It's just I'm really happy about the artwork. Sebastian Jerke, great guy.
Wonderful, and I really hope that very soon some more gigs are going forward, that I can snatch me a copy of this gorgeous vinyl.
Oh yeah. We hope next year will happen a lot more.
We're going to talk about this in a second. I wanted to ask you though, as I'm also having a bit of a classical background myself, being brought up with classical music, playing the cello and whatnot.
Nice.
There's also some beautiful string quartet arrangements on Hephioz, and especially in the track Metamorphosis, which is a very Bach-like harmony and composing structure. And I think your voice also matches this perfectly there. It just fits in well with the in the string quartet context. So for you as a vocalist, do you have any classical training, or are you self-taught, or what's your background vocal wise?
Yeah, it's funny that you ask, because my background is, let's say, purely classic. Because I started out when I like truly wanted to sing and took lessons, that was classical, and I studied classical singing as a main my main instrument when I studied Tonmeister. So I'm an audio engineer, and like with a little more, or not a little more, a lot more music as you would normally have as an audio engineer. So it's a special study in Germany. So yeah, there my main instrument was vocals.
I didn't know
vocals.
that existed.
Oh yeah, it does. And yeah, my singing background also, I was singing in a choir a lot, and like I started with, I don't know, maybe 16. I also sang with the guitar, so not classical, but the whole training, the whole lessons I got was in the beginning were classical. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, and with Metamorphosis, or like the funny thing is, you guys had a concert scheduled here in Munich for this fall, which sadly got cancelled. But there was another band on the bill called Son of a Bach, and also when I was looking for Acoustic videos on YouTube, there would be the occasional Son of a Bach video popping up in the search results.
Yeah.
So and looking at the credits there, I see this is basically more or less the same band.
Yeah, basically it is the same. Yeah.
So I'm super curious. Which band was first, and what's the difference between the two bands, and what is Son of a Bach?
Well, yeah, that's funny because it's completely different. The only thing, like let's say the only thing which is the same are the people. So me, Johannes, and Florian. But which was first? I obviously Acoustic was first. But Son of a Bach. Oh, it's also a long time ago when that. It started as a video project, and I wasn't even involved in the whole beginning. Just sometime Johannes asked me if I could film maybe the first video, and then I filmed, and it all went great, and we put the video up and expected the best thing, and nothing happened. But after, like, I don't know, 2-3 years, some algorithm in YouTube or some website somewhere else mentioned it, I don't know, but then the views got exponentially up, and yeah, we did another video and another video and another video. I'm also always in the background there, so at Acoustic I'm in the front with the microphone doing the lead vocals, but at Son of a Bach I'm completely in the background. I'm not seen on screen. I do mostly the audio, sometimes the video, but we now have a really good friend who does it a lot better, I think. So sometimes he does it, sometimes I or we do it. Yeah, so Son of a Bach is completely different, except that Johannes, Florian, and me are part of both. Yeah, Son of a Bach is covering, like, let's say, covering Bach pieces, but in rock progressive metal ways, and the approach was that we only do videos, and I think 2 years ago we played the first time live, and it was really, really good and really great. The audience loved it, so we decided to do the support show for Acoustic, which is really funny, but also really, really exhausting, because yeah, it's for me, for example, it's I want to concentrate on my singing. I want to sing a little before the concert, but I can't because
warm up.
I can't warm up because I have to arrange all the mixing stuff for the guys on stage, because I mix them live then. And for them it's even more exhausting, because they have to play at first. Yeah. They have all the costumes, because they play in Baroque costumes. Well, I don't know if it's
cool.
like some guy will say, "Oh, they're not Baroque costumes," but for me, they're Baroque costumes. And they have to play in them, and then they have to switch, and that's quite exhausting, I think. But yeah, it's really funny. It's just fun, yeah.
I'm super curious about that as well, and also checking out the videos. We already mentioned. We're just talking about live stuff, and that of course we hope that next year there's gonna happen a lot. But like semi-live or you guys will be playing the Progspace Online Festival as well.
Oh, yes.
And I'm super happy that you're part of that. What can we expect?
We are preparing at the moment for a set with 3-4 songs, maybe even 5, to showcase the album. The story a little bit, maybe. We're really excited to be part of that because it's quite unique and it's such a lovely scene. So the progressive family. So we're just excited to have a part in that. Yeah, will be fun.
Great. Thank you, Julian, for taking the time this morning to talk to us about all things acoustic, Hephioz, son of a Bach, and whatnot. You guys out there, go check out their stuff. It's really, really a lot of fun to listen to the album, to watch the music videos. We're going to link all the stuff, of course. Go check out the vinyl and buy one. As always, thank you also for listening. And if you like what we're doing, leave us a like and subscribe to our channels. Until next time, stay safe and keep spreading the prog love.
The Progtalks, produced by the Progspace. Main host, Rune Belsvik Reinås. Produced by Rune Belsvik Reinås, Vanessa and Matthias Kirsch. All graphics and animations by Vanessa Kirsch. Intro theme by Giuseppe Negri. Outro theme by Zach Munowitz. This was the Progtalks by the Progspace. See you in a week.